It used to be a bouncer, correct?
Yeah, I used to be I was a bouncer beginning of 2001 to 2004, and then I was a security guard for the last 10 plus years after that. So.
Okay, so what did you do bouncing for? Like what places? Like what clubs, strip clubs, what?
I did it for a club here in Nashville. It's not longer in service, but I was Grand Central Station. They had like it was a four-tier bar.
Okay.
Well, the first floor was the Wildcats, which was kind of like Coyote Ugly.
Oh, okay, I've seen the movie. Okay.
It's kind of like that at first.
Okay.
And then the second one, then you go up to the second bar, it's kind of like got the billiards, the pool tables, and like karaoke. And then you go up in the third, it's kind of more of a dance floor. Then up on the fourth floor is when you're up on the balcony.
Okay.
So you're basically seeing all the skyline and everything like that. So it was pretty hard to control 4 rooms.
And how crowded does it get at these places that you bounce for?
When I used to bounce there, it was on Friday and Saturday nights, especially when they had ladies' night. It was really bouncing, especially here in Nashville. When you come to Nashville, if you ever come to Nashville, it is like bridal party central USA. And I mean, these women line up, and then you have on the dance floor on the right side, you'd have these weird old looking Spanish guys who'd be seeing these girls over here in the middle of the dance floor dancing, and then they come over there and want to try to grind with the girl and stuff like that, and these women are like basically like fuck off kind of deal. So it's kind of like I mean. It's kind of one of those things where, as a matter of fact, there was one time me and Mel went together.
Okay.
And we were first dating, and these little Mexican guys tried to dance with her, and they saw me coming. They're like, "Holy shit! Look how big that motherfucker is!"
So,
like, nope.
What is a job? What is a job description of a bouncer? Like what is their job duty or their responsibility?
Well, the responsibility is you have to make sure that the safety of the patrons, which are the workers, you have to make sure that you watch each other's backs as security guards. It's kind of a brotherhood. You have to watch each other's back at all times. We always have a plan at the beginning before the doors open. You always have a plan, like, okay, this is what code red is, code blue. We always have these little plans. Another thing is you have to make sure the safety of the people who are coming in there.
Okay.
And you have to do the fire codes. You have to make sure the fire codes are up to date. Because fire code people, they like coming after you if you didn't get your fire code right. See, I was one of those bouncers who I didn't kick people out right off the bat. Like,
okay.
If I saw you doing something, I'd take you aside and I'd be like, just calm down. All right. Go have yourself a drink, calm down. And like most fights happen over a woman. And most of it happened because like a guy would come in with his woman, and then all of a sudden he's hanging out with his boys and he's ignoring the woman, and the woman's going over there like, well, I'm gonna get your fucking attention. So I'm going to go over there and I'm going to bump and grind on this dude. And then here comes her boyfriend going, what the fuck's this shit? And then it starts like a whole big giant war.
Or is it some cases where you're at the bar with your woman, you go to the bathroom, you come back, and some guy's drunk trying to holler at her? Because I've seen shit like that too.
And it starts like that too. And,
go ahead.
One of these funny stories that happened was this happened about these girls came up to me. And they told me, hey, can you get a taxi for us? So we have to do that for them, too. Like, if we escort them out, we have to get them a taxi.
This before Uber.
Okay. Yeah, or this way before Uber. Okay. So while we're waiting for the taxi, this one girl is so damn drunk, she's dancing on, like, phone pole. And then another girl is so drunk, she's crossing the street, trying to start a fight with a homeless man with one arm.
Damn.
He's going to cut the bitch. And at the same time, while you're trying to control that, you're trying to make sure... You're trying to stop to get a taxi, and the taxi drivers here will run somebody over. So the girl almost got ran over, too.
Wow.
At the time.
So as a bouncer, are you allowed to go off the premises past the property line or to render aid or assistance, or you can't do that?
You can do that on certain... It all depends on the situation. Like, if someone, like, needs, like, air, or they need CPR, or they need some kind of... help like that, then absolutely. Or you see a cop getting beaten up, exactly, then yeah, you can come in there and do that. Now, The rule was, and I know you're going to ask me about it, have I ever had to lay my hands on somebody?
Yeah, that question was coming up.
I have had to, but one thing I've always done was I've always given the warning first. I always had that little be firm but polite. And, basically say, hey, look, got to walk you out, man. You got to get out of here. And you're trying to be nice. You're trying to explain it to them. And when they're drunk, and this happened to mostly military men, young military guys.
Yeah, because they're hothead, because they're cocky as fuck,
They're the ones that come in there with that little attitude, like, I represent my country. I can whoop your ass. It's like, and you're like, look, I know what's going to happen. You're going to swing at me, and I'm going to put you on the ground. And it's just what's going to happen. And then they swing, and then I get them in this little armbar, or get them in like this little Samoa Joe chokehold.
And you know what's funny? Do you ever notice that the military guys that come in there and start that shit are always like 5'6" or under? They act all hard,
They always have the little white shaved head. They're always like just going, hey. And I'm like, you know what? And honestly, I will honestly say this: I've had different kind of genders, different kind of guys come in there, and usually you would think at a big nightclub that plays all this rap music, you would think the thug guys would be the problems. Actually, no.
Who gives you more problems?
Not the problem. It was the soldiers. It was like the soldiers and like these guys who come in there and are like. You can tell when a guy comes there and he's basically got his woman on a leash. Those kind of dudes. They're basically like, you better not even look at another dude. You better not even touch another dude. You better not even say hi.
Kev, it's good you brought that up because when I worked in the restaurant business, dude, and I worked in Sugarland, which was predominantly like foreign white, some black, but it's like people that are uppity income because like Hakeem Olajuwon and Tracy McGrady and all of them live out there. So it's people that got a little bit of money. But believe it or not, the gangsters and the thugs that come in there usually don't cause any problems. It's usually the clean, uptighty people that are the ones coming in drunk and obnoxious.
Yep.
They're the main ones. I'm having to calm down.
Now, when I've also done security at concerts too.
Yeah.
And usually I've done rock concerts, like metal concerts. I've done rock, like country and rap and bluegrass. It was the country bluegrass people that gave me the most shit in the first place. I mean, it's like they want to. It's almost like, hey, I come here to drink my pickup and drink my beer and beat your ass. And that's exactly what they came in here to do. And it's like we did a rave party one time. There was a rave party I did.
Yeah.
Where this guy comes in. I shit you not, Steve. He comes in with a backpack and he looks at me and he goes, by the end of the night, you are going to see me as a frog. At the end of the night, that motherfucker was dressed like a frog.
Oh, shit.
And then he basically like, hey, if I do this, how much will you be able to catch me? I'm like, dude, I'm like, I told him, like, you can, and I basically what I said was, all right, I'm going to give you a head start. Go ahead out the door. As soon as he went out the door, I stood there and I'm like, oh, by the way, bro, you can't get back in now.
Nice.
He's like, you motherfucker. He starts, making that comments. Now, I went to one concert where I saw a man giving out flasks. He was giving out flasks to these younger guys. And the other security guards were going to, and I could tell these kids were this is the first time they started drinking liquor. And you would think, okay, you got to kick them out. No, I went after the guy that gave me the damn thing.
Okay.
I was like, look, you know what? I'm going to let you kids stay. You guys learn your lesson. If I see you with something else again, you're out. But I went after the guy that gave him the liquor because that guy actually had the respect to say, hey, look, don't go after them. It's me. I did it. Now, the problem is, too, as a security guard, especially as a bouncer, you have to watch the women because the women there, they come in there, some of them, not all of them, because there are some really smart women and some nice women out there.
Yeah.
But those are the ones who think that they can get away with anything. So they come in there in their nice little outfits and they're trying to like flirt with you. So they'd be like, they're trying to talk to you. So they're trying to think, I can get away with anything. All I got to do is butter this security guard up. Nope, didn't work with me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So, like, have they ever tried to distract you while other people try to distract from sneaking somebody in, or they tried to, like, I don't know, I guess, like, you see this kind of stuff in movies, but I'm wondering if it actually exists in a real bouncer's life. Like, if you had them try to distract you while their friend tries to let some people in the back door, or some, you know, stuff like that, you know?
When the first job I had there was I was doing the ID checks at first before I got to do the actual bar. So that's the first thing you do when you work at a bar like that. That's the first place they're going to put you at, because you have to learn the fake ID stuff. You have to learn how to know what the IDs look like. So you're studying on that. But there's been some times where some girls have brought their like underage friend. They're like, please, come on. You know, they start giving you the little eye, and then they start giving you like, you know,
Sweet talking you and all that. Do you let them in or no?
I mean, you know, but then you feel like, okay, well, if I say no, then I'm going to look like a dick in front of these people. But then at the same time, you're like, now, I used to have this other security guard with me who would basically let them in because he would go and get their numbers afterwards.
Yeah, of course.
And he would have some fun in his
with the groupies, yeah.
Yeah. But at the end, but there were some times where there was a back room in that bar where they took some girls down there and did stuff with. I didn't do that, but I saw it afterwards. Before the bar closed, I saw them doing that.
But see, I don't know how it was back then, but now it's a little harder because you got TABC, Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission. They send the decoys like that up at the door. And even like when I was working at Buffalo's, they'll send them in. And like even if I was a waiter and somebody asked for alcohol, if they look under 27, you have to ask for their ID. Now it's if they look under 40, you have to ask for their ID. And they'll say, hey, you know, I want a beer, you know, let's just say Bud Light Lime or something. And I look at them and I go, man, you look like you're under 27. Oh, no, I'm 25. And I go, okay. And I go, may I see some ID? Oh, man, it's in the car. Oh, man, it's this. Oh, man, I didn't bring my ID with me. I'm like, well, when you get your ID, I'll give you the drink. Because I don't know if you're TABC, and you can get in trouble for that shit.
But then you have those bouncers who come into the bars who, and like every bar in Nashville, every club in Nashville back then was different. They all had different mentalities and stuff. But then you would have the bouncers that you have to train, who come in there thinking that it's Roadhouse and they're going to whoop somebody's ass like Patrick Swayze, and you have to tell them, hey, look, that's not what we do at first. You know, that's not how it rolls.
So what's the protocol on the use of force? How does that work?
The use of force is don't use it on. Now you can grab a hold of them,
of course,
and gently and be like, hey, look, we're going to take you out here,
like a bear hug.
The only time that you use the only time you use force on anybody is when you are being attacked.
Fair enough.
If you're being attacked, like one time I went upstairs and I saw these six little Mexican guys jumping on this big black security guard, and they were jumping on him. It looked like little ants trying to fight Godzilla, basically, and they all started running down and run out the damn building. When it's something like that, then absolutely. When you see another security guard or bouncer down, yes, you use force at that point to get them out of here. Now there are some times where you use force that patron will sue you afterwards.
Wow, have you seen that?
I've seen it happen where they will start the shit. They will be the ones to lay their hands on you. You lay your hands on them. You hurt them. If they end up having to go to the hospital or something hurts or something broken on them, they will sue you and they will sue that company.
Oh, wow. So have you ever seen bouncers get sued or companies get sued because the bouncer was in the wrong? Like what do you usually see?
Well, it's weird because the bouncers are not in the wrong on that. I mean, it's usually them having to defend themselves. And the problem is they get all their little friends together and they're like,
and coerce a story.
I saw him do that. He choked my friend. You know.
So have you actually seen a bouncer get in trouble for mainly something that was his fault? Like what's the main mistake you've seen bouncers do that cost them their job or that cost the company to get sued?
Well, I saw one of the guys. We called him. He was a big. He looked like Goldberg, like bald headed.
Yeah.
Wrong. I mean, he'd been there longer. He was there longer than I was, and he was a very gentle guy. But you get on his bad side. And I saw this guy just mouthing at him all night long. And we asked the guy to leave, and apparently he got back in again. I don't know how he did, but he got back in again.
Wow.
And so then we had to force him outside, and it got to the point where when he had the guy on the ground, I think I think he didn't realize the strength in his body, but he was choking him.
Oh, wow.
And I think that sometimes that happens where we don't, know our own strength, and we're at that point where we're just...
And it's in the moment.
We've been spit at, we've been yelled at, we've been cussed at. At that point, we're just like, you know what? It happens. And you lose your cool when it happens. And I've lost my cool plenty of times.
I was gonna. Have you ever had somebody kick or bite or punch you or throw a punch or scratch or anything like that?
I've had some people try to throw a punch, and there's some times when you're holding the guy down, one of their buddies might come over there and try to kick you in the head or...
Oh, shit.
Something like that, yeah. And then that happens, and you have to grab them too. There was one point I had two of them in a chokehold at the same time.
God damn.
So, after they done kicked me, I grabbed a hold of his leg and sweeped him over, grabbed him too, and I basically say, hey, look, I'm going to let you go. But if I'm going to let you go, you guys got about 5 seconds to get the fuck out of here right now.
So you've never suffered any injuries, scratches, anything like that?
Oh, well, there's times we tried to break up a female fight, and that was bad too, because when two women fight, it's different than two men. Like, if two men fight, we're like, afterwards, like, hey, man, you want to share a beer? No, two women fight, it is on.
Oh, they're pulling hair, they're punching, they're using their fingernails. It gets serious.
They will take off their heel and hit each other with it with a little spike.
And so what happened when you were breaking that fight up?
Oh, we've been bit, clawed, kicked in the nuts.
So have you ever had to hit a woman? I know that's the wrong question to ask, but I mean, in time where you're breaking fights, have you ever had to use some kind of force?
Yeah, you don't. It's different with the women than it is the men.
Okay, then how does the use of force work on women if it's a male to a woman?
Well, you have to kind of like wrap around them and kind of hold them and, try to carry them that way. Or you try to be nice and just gently grab them by the arm. It got to that point where we couldn't do that because women were complaining that there were bruise marks on their arm.
Yeah, or the use of force, was...
Yeah, so, and the justice system and the cops are going to believe a woman.
It's the scariest thing is if you put them in a headlock or something and they bite your arm, your first reaction is to punch them right in the face,
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because if they're biting, they're taking flesh off that skin.
Yeah.
I don't know if being gentle is no longer an option.
It's no longer an option, but we had this female bouncer that was with us who... Anytime that happened, she grabbed a hold of it.
Okay, so they do have female bouncers specifically for the females. If it gets to that point.
If it gets to that point, there's some times where the female bartenders will jump in and try to help. We'll try to help and stuff like that because they know that we can't physically touch these ladies like that. So
what's one of the craziest fights you've ever seen while being a bouncer? Like blood, loss of teeth, motherfuckers knocked out. I mean, like, what's the worst you've seen that you can recall?
I was stuck downstairs working with the Wildcat Bar at the time.
Okay.
All I heard was there was commotion upstairs, and everybody started going upstairs, and it was just me and those girls there. We're like, what the fuck's going on? I went up there, and it was like on the top balcony. I saw about 50 or 60 people just beating the shit out of each other. It was like a fucking madhouse.
It was like a Royal Rumble.
I see security guards trying to break it up. I see beer bottles flying. This happening. Like two people trying to shove each other off the top of the building, and it was insane, man.
It was like a WWE Royal Rumble.
They took those little steel chairs and whacked each other with it and stuff like that. And all I did was I stayed back. I was like, shit, I ain't getting involved in this motherfucker.
So what did you do?
Oh, I had to call at that point we had to call we had to call the cops at that point. It was at the point where all the guards are basically being dismantled and everybody's fighting, and so we're at that point we're like, hey man, we gotta get the cops in here.
Damn, so the cops eventually broke it up?
Oh, when the cops come there, yeah, but at the same time there was this one cop who came in there, and all of a sudden these two women were still fighting. They basically knocked him over, started rolling over the cops. So
damn.
It's kind of like that point where, and then there's some times where you get other gangs happen, gang affiliated happen, where there's the one gang over here and another gang over here.
Yeah, I bet that's got to be scary, even as a bouncer. And I know you're trained, but you never know if these guys are armed to the teeth, like even with the smallest switchblade or anything. And I know you always think that in the back of your head, you know?
Well, that happened over 2 weekends ago in Nashville. There was, I don't know, I think the C.G. Bird, I forgot one of the San Francisco 49er quarterbacks, his brother got stabbed to death here.
Yeah, Beathard's brother.
Yeah, his brother got stabbed to death here over a woman. It was over a female.
Well, and what was the fight over? I saw that like he was talking to someone else's girl or what?
I think his girl, from what I heard, this is what I heard, his girl was getting annoyed. Her boyfriend was not paying attention to her, so she was over there talking to them. It was like an innocent conversation, but apparently her guy was intoxicated. At that point,
that's how it starts.
That's how it starts.
Remember when I told you it's the old "I'm going to the restroom" trick? Come back and some dude's trying to holler at her, and then that's how the fight starts.
Let me just tell the word to wise to your viewers and anybody else in the bar. You ever want to become a security guard, or if you're in a bar and you see somebody doing this a lot, when someone's running their mouth at you a lot, 9 times out of 10 they can't fight worth a shit, and they're the ones who are running their mouths, and you're the one that's sitting there like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you do have to reframe a lot, right? As a bouncer, like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
And they teach you to have to not escalate this. You have to de-escalate the situation, right?
Yeah. Wow. There's some times where you have to. Man, there's some times they will spit in your face. They will call you every name in the book. They'll call your lady a name. They'll sit there and say they fucked your mom. They'll say they fucked your grandmother, stuff like that. And you just basically.
You just have to you have to de-escalate or reframe yourself.
It brought me back to my old football days when I played football. You know, like when I played junior high and high school. Yeah, I mean, we were saying that shit to each other on the field, like "fuck your mama," you know, this and that. It's to me, it didn't bother me because I looked at it like, I know if I have to, I could take you.
So I'm just curious now that I know, we get into the bouncer life. Let's talk about the groupies that go up there. What are the groupies like? Have you ever seen groupies up there specifically for bouncers? Where maybe it's women they might have pulled and then they get all their friends and y'all try to have not saying an orgy in that sense, but there are some groupies that are attracted to bouncers because they see them as a high, like, I can get into the club, I can get into this place, he might have some connections to these people, he might know these famous people that come here, and they sort of use that to their advantage to flirt with the bouncers.
Speaking of that, there's another little story.
Okay.
One of my last days at that place, I had some Titan players come in back in the day.
Okay.
One of them was Steve McNair.
Okay.
Now, when Steve McNair came in, he didn't come in with his wife at that day.
Okay. Came with another chick. Okay.
Came in there with another chick, and this was like a couple years before. It was about 2 years before that tragic accident.
Oh, okay.
So I seen. What they'll do is those girls, they find out the Titan guys come to these bars or these nightclubs or like some like hockey player or something. They find out about that. Here they come out of the woodwork. I'm talking about they look like they've been dolled up millions of bucks, and they come in here and they probably got every STD known to man. But at that point, they're not coming in there for you. They're coming in there for, Steve McNair's here. Eddie George is here. This and that. They're here for that. At that point. So, I saw some Titan players do some dirty shit.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Have you ever came... I know, like, you're married and everything. I'm not trying to, knock Mel in any sort of way. I just want to ask the question, were there ever times when you were approached by a group of women, maybe that were interested in you, and were there ever times where, even as a man to a man, sometimes it's hard to bite the bullet? Like, have you ever had times where you're like, wow...
There were some times where I was working there. There was times I was working there. They would, you had those girls that would try to rub your back or something like that, or they'll be like trying to talk to you and stuff like that, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're so cute," this and that. Damn good and well that they're doing that to
the other bouncers as well.
Yeah. So I've had that happen a few times. You at that time you kind of go like, well, they used to tell me, like, I used to be, hey, are you married? Are you like, I'm like, yep. And they're like, oh.
Shit, I don't know. A lot of women these days like married guys. They're more attracted to the married guys than they are to the single guys. If you say you're married, they want to holler at you more.
Yeah, and it's almost like a freaking magnet. Like, they almost
Yeah.
want to talk to you, be like, so, how long y'all been married? And they want to hear stories, and then they, they try to stir the pot in a little bit.
Let's see if they could fuck with a married woman's guy, because then they also think you got money too, and they want a share of it. They're looking for sugar daddy. So if they go for the married guys, it's presumed you're taking care of Mel. So it's presumed you have money. It's presumed you have all this money, even if it's regardless whether it's true or not. But in their mind, they're like, "Oh, that's a sugar daddy right there." Like
in their mind,
yeah.
yes, it is true.
A lot of single women are attracted to married guys. I've been saying that for a long time.
And that point is when they think that you come in there, I mean, there was a bartender guy we had there. Oh my God! Every time he would come over there, he'd be swarmed, and he was a married dude, and he'd be swarmed by these like
Groupies.
women that would try to get free drinks and stuff like that, and they would do all this stuff to him. And I mean, it was hard for him. He came up to me one day before the bar was open. He was like, "What do I do? do I say I'm gay or something, or stuff like that?" We would actually try to do that. There's some times we'd come out there and we would act gay towards him. It didn't even matter. It didn't matter. They were like, "Ooh, that's sexy," or like, "Ooh, can we get a part of that?" And you're like,
wow.
and it didn't work.
So they're even attracted to that.
There's no that didn't work. I mean, like they don't have the nightclubs in Nashville anymore. It's just all nothing but country honky tonk bars now. So, but at that time, they didn't pay bouncers enough money back then.
Well, what's the pay grade like? What's the pay grade like then versus now?
Well, now, back then it was like $9, $8, $10. Now you get like $15, $20 an hour.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's went up a little bit on that one, but I mean, also it's downtown, which means Nashville was like one of the dangerous cities in Tennessee now. Well, Memphis is, but then Nashville is also that way. So I look at it like this: if I ever decide to work security again, I want to look at a bar, and if they offer me anything lower than that, I'm going to say no, fuck you.
So what's better, doing bouncing or doing security, or is that both essentially the same thing? Because I know you said you did bouncing and you did security.
It could be the same thing. Security is a little bit more different. Like now, if you're doing like a football game or a hockey game or a concert, it's more different because you're working in a team-oriented thing. Because there's more of you. Like as a bouncer, yes, you do have a team and you do have some security guards, but most of those guys are in for themselves, majority of the time.
Not only that, but you're also split apart. I'm sure y'all aren't always together.
No, because some of them are up top, some might be on the third floor, some might be on the second.
And all it takes is for a couple of seconds for something to go down. You can get stomped for 30 seconds, and that's enough to knock you the fuck out if there's enough guys stomping you. And even if they get there within ambulance time, 1 minute tops, you're still knocked the fuck out.
I was one of those guys at the bar, like when I worked as a bouncer and I was doing when I was checking people's IDs. I wasn't supposed to do this, but I did it for my own personal safety. I checked everybody's fucking bag. Like I would actually search you.
Random searches.
But I used to have like a wand where I would actually watch people, because if I saw you had a knife and you try to come into my place, no, I'm gonna tell you to put that back.
I had a question. Have you ever found weapons after they were already searched? Have you ever did random searches and found stuff like guns, knives, stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Sometimes they'll put like little small guns inside their. Well, they would put little guns in their.
The little miniature ones, yeah. You could buy the little mini ones that fit in the palm of your hand. I've seen those before.
Yeah, I've seen them. They put it in their sock, or they'll put it in their. Or sometimes they would give it to their female's purse, put it in their girl's purse and stuff like that, and it all depends now, because now they have a thing now where you have a license to carry permit. And obviously, you can carry your gun in there, because now it's. If you have like a permit and you see them carry it, obviously you can let them in then. But they just can't be like going around going.
Yeah, but nowadays they don't, even with the permit, they don't even let you in anymore, right? Because of all the shootings and stuff. I'm sure it's stricter now, right? Versus when you were working.
It's a little stricter now, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it's like even in Walmart, they don't care if you have a concealed weapon. You can't go on the premises. Right. With that's what I was saying. Like most clubs, they won't let you in even if you have a license to carry, unless you're an officer. Or you're a bouncer or security guard.
Yeah, so I mean, like, as far as that, you were going to ask me about the tip thing, but
before I ask you, have you seen any shootings?
I have not seen a shooting.
No. Or you never been around it or heard shots go off?
I've heard shots go off, but I don't know. I never.
Okay, so you were at least blessed that you didn't go through that.
Yeah, I mean, now there was one time where I was out sick, and I heard it happen at the bar, but I wasn't there. Which was, I was grateful to the high heavens I wasn't there, because I'm like, I ain't got no bulletproof shit. So, at that point, we were also told to, at that point, if someone comes in there with a gun and they're doing that, you have to kind of, at that point, you have to kind of either basically, some of the guards had that, some of the bouncers had that mentality of, man, if I can get to him, I'm gonna blast that motherfucker.
Oh.
You know, it's like that. But there's some times where you have that mentality. You have to play it smart, because you have to make sure that gunman makes some kind of mistake. I mean, that's what they would do. You're trying to either find a mistake on them, or you try to talk them down and be like, hey, you know, you don't want to do this.
Oh, okay. So they do have training protocol for someone with a gun that's armed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was actually trained to do that. So in that situation, if I ever in that situation, yeah, I can try to talk them down, pretty much.
So hey, Kev, before we get to the tip thing, you also said you were part of a band. Tell me what that was like. What kind of band was it?
I was in high school back in the day. We were in a rock. We were kind of in a rock band. We did hard rock, but we also did like southern rock. We did country. We did some rap stuff. We just did like a lot of covers. We did some of our own songs, but we just kind of like, you know, I played bass guitar and I was a lead vocalist. My friend was like, who lives in Vegas now, he was a co-vocalist and a guitarist and stuff like that. We would actually have fun, because it was like one of those things where we weren't trying to be big with it. It was not one of those things where, you know, oh my God, we're going to get discovered and we're going to be that. No, we weren't doing it for that. We just did it because of loving the music. But it was fun. At the same time, it was fucking nerve-wracking, because you would go to a certain bar and they would have you come up on there and you have to open up for somebody, or you get the feel of the crowd. Like, you see a crowd come in there and you see like two bands play in front of you and they're like hyped up for that band, and then you come on there and you play something different. They look at you like, you know, you get that. You even see that in concerts now, like with the big bands out there.
Yeah. So I was got a question. So like, you've only did it in high school, right? You didn't do that after high school?
No.
Oh, okay. So that was just a high school thing. Okay. So so I was going to ask you this. So obviously we want to get to the major part of the video, which was the tip video. You obviously watched Travis's video in regards to the whole tip thing, and we made 2 videos on it. I don't know if you watched both of them.
I only watched the one.
Oh, okay. Was it the one that titled Travis explains why he leaves bad tips at the restaurants? Okay, that was a part 2 to the original one. The original one, he talks about why his tips aren't really that good, because he says that his income is not, he doesn't have a large income. So when he goes out, he just buys a drink or 2 and he tips $1 or 2. And then he mentioned the story about some girl he was trying to holler at up there that was a bartender, and he asked for her Facebook and she gave it to him, and then he said that she never accepted his friend's request, and as a result, he started tipping her really bad. And of course, that came the huge debate about the whole tipping thing. And he said his response is, it's not my job to pay your bills. That's your manager's job, of course, because some people raised that concern about the whole $2.13 an hour. And then, of course, critics who commented on the comment section were like, no, that guy's an asshole. If he's getting good service, he should tip regardless if he got the number or not. So I'm wondering, as all of your experience of working around bars and clubs, and I'm sure you go out to eat, and I'm sure you've left tips before, you and Mel, what is your whole thought to the tips? What do you think is an adequate tip, and do you think Travis was in the right or the wrong? How do you think he should have applied it, if not, or if so? What are your whole thoughts to it?
As far as the tip range, it all depends on if you're getting good service. That's the first thing I look at. If I look at you as a waiter or waitress and you were there on the money, and you're basically doing your job to the fullest, then yeah, I'm gonna tip you.
Okay, fair enough.
A pretty good, a fair amount. But if you're one of these shitty ass people who's on their phone and you're not paying attention and you're not refilling my water like I want you to, and you're not coming over here doing that, then fuck no. I'm not giving you damn. I'm not giving you nothing.
How do you base your tips on good service? Like, how much do you go by percentage of your check? Do you go by I leave this certain amount, or I have this a certain amount of money set aside? Like, how do you usually apply it?
I usually do it by, the tip thing, we usually do it by, like, the service that we get. I mean, that's usually what it is. If you're, I mean, because, you know, Melissa's dad up north, you know, he used to run a restaurant, so obviously, you know, it was a little bit of a different story. We're kind of, and then, you know, her sister's in New York, and she's a bartender, so, or she works in the restaurant field. So obviously, in that case, yeah, you know, we want to be more sympathetic to those who are working at. But I understand what he's trying to say, and in a sense of, I do believe that waitresses and waiters, they get paid shitty when they get paid like
$2.13 an hour.
You know, 5 or 6, 7.
Depends on where you work, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like they should get paid at least 10 or 12 an hour, and plus tips, because that way, if you're getting scammed by the tips, at least you're having some kind of livelihood. And I feel like that, and I understand from the restaurant's point, like, okay, you're jamming meat on a tip, but yet when you jam a waitresses on her tip or a bartender on her tip, you're basically shitting on the whole entire bar. You're also shitting on not only the waitress, but you're shitting on the bus boy, the busser. You're shitting on the people who are also making the food at the same time. So
here's a question. So, like, when you and Mel go out to eat, let's say, for example, the last time y'all went out to eat, well, how much was your bill and how much did y'all tip, if you remember?
Probably about $25, $28. I think we gave them like 5, 6.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, okay. So that's 25%, right. 27%. Right. That's not bad.
Right. Now, there was one time we went there, and we went to that same place, and they had a shitty waiter, and our bill was like 30 something. We only paid him like $2.
So like, what do you define as a shitty service?
A shitty service to me is like a person who, if they're over there and they're not giving you enough attention, but they're giving everybody else around you that attention, and they're basically sitting there, and I'm like, look, man, I want my water refill. Where's my fucking, like, if you go to Logan's and you want your fucking, you know, some people go there for the damn biscuits. So yeah. if you ain't got my rolls, what the fuck are you? You know, this and that. I look at it like this, like, look, man, you got my rolls here, you know, I already ate them. We want my, you know, or they'll sit there and or the food comes out, it takes a long time. I don't blame the cooks. I don't blame chefs or cooks or like that, because we have people who are in that field. I understand that that's a pretty hard damn field to be in as far as making food. But I blame the ones who are supposed to run the food out and the ones who are sitting there.
Expos are usually people who bring them out, or sometimes if the waiter or waitress has to bring it out themselves. It depends on where you go.
Well, that story with this guy was he overheard us talking about a certain president who's president now.
Okay.
And you know, me and Mel were talking about how unfairly
he was being treated. Okay.
Yeah, and I think he overheard it, and that's when he started giving us even shittier service.
Wow.
So, and when that happens, what we decided to do was we told his management about it. We're like, look,
oh wow,
we ain't coming back here again until this, you know, this night. And they actually decided to pay for our meal, and then they gave us a gift card to come back.
Preach.
So,
wow.
So I look at it like, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a problem out there, don't be afraid to raise your hand and say something.
Okay.
Because
go ahead.
Yeah, because if you don't say anything about like certain services like that, then it becomes that. Now, the one thing about Travis's video that I will say that I don't agree with.
Okay.
You don't go to a bar and then basically pick up a woman and then get mad because that girl doesn't accept you on your friend request. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I'm looking at it like, if you dictate on how you tip because of that, I mean, first of all, you know, I look at it like this. I could never do that. Because I look at it like, now, if that bartender was a shitty ass bartender and she was giving you like piss poor beer, or your beer was hot or warm,
or she would just walk off and not even acknowledge you know.
You're basically, and that's happened to me too. Where I've been in a bar where I've been like standing there for like 5 or 10 minutes, and they went here, and you're standing there going, You know, and they just kind of, yeah, obviously you'd be like, you, I ain't giving you nothing. But at that point, I laughed at that part when that video when I saw that. I was sitting there thinking, wow, he didn't tip her because of that.
Well, see, here's the thing. I told Travis, I said, you asked for a Facebook. Let's just be honest. You were trying to holler at her. He's like, well, I was just wondering if I could be friends. I'm like, dude, you don't ask for another female's Facebook just for the hell of it. He's like, all right, yeah, I was trying to hit it. I'm like, okay, well, just be honest. You were trying to holler.
Yeah,
she turned you down. You got pissed and left her a shitty tip.
You got mad. Travis, if you hear this, buddy, be honest, man. If you basically got that girl's, you went there obviously to get that girl's number because you've been looking at her for a while. And I know you've probably been looking at her for a while. And you're probably thought, ooh, I'm going to go over there and try to be nice and do a friend to get her Facebook. That girl ain't stupid. She's probably been there and done that.
Dude, you know, when I've worked in a bar, I wasn't a bartender, but I've worked as a waiter before for 3 different restaurants. Yeah. I've seen the women that work there, whether they're a bartender or a waitress or a manager even, I would see them hold a contest to see who would get the most numbers. Because the girls didn't have to ask for the numbers. The guys just give it to them. They write it on the receipts and stuff. And I told Travis, you know how many numbers she probably gets on a daily basis from guys like you? No offense. And he's like, guys like me. I'm like, how much the guys that sit there and pay $5, $10, or $20 or $30 or whatever. And then when they get the receipt, there's a number written on there that says, call me. Dude, you know how many times I see that? And how many times I see girls joke around and laugh about that stuff? He's like, how many? I'm like, a lot. You'll be surprised. Every day, they're getting like 30, 40 numbers a day. You're not the only person that's doing that.
And look at it like this.
You know?
And look at it statistically like this. There's this bar here in Nashville who's actually it's not too far from our house. There's a bar here every Friday night. They have free beer from 7. They have free alcohol from 7 to 11, which is good. But they have free female. Ladies can get in for free until like 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yep.
But men have to pay $10. And I see men going, okay. And then when I worked at security, and when I've worked at the bar before, I've seen the ladies go over there and get free drinks out.
Oh yeah, dude. When I was a waiter, I've seen women walk around the bar section where usually the older men are at, drinking and stuff. They're like either a COO, you could tell they're a little bit uppity, rich money, and the women walk around them because they know the guys are going to give them drinks. They're not going to walk up to Pookie and Ray Ray and ask for drinks. They're going to walk up to what they think, and I don't mean to be stereotypical. It's usually rich, white, older men that usually target. You know, the COOs,
It's not really the groupie. It's not always the groupies do that. Like sometimes it's the men that come on. Like a girl can be over there trying to get her own drink, and the older guy's coming over there. The guys come over there going, hey, how are you? And start talking and stuff like that. And then they're like, hey, I got it. Let me pay for your glass of Chardonnay. And the girl ain't going to turn that down.
Of course not.
I mean, like it'd be the same way with us. If we're sitting there and some woman's like, "Hey, let me pay for your thing," you going to turn it down? No.
I think I don't know if you ever had a woman pay for your drinks just out of being nicest. I've had a woman pay for 2 of my drinks one time.
I've had about 2 or 3.
You've had them do that? Usually they're drunk, and they're like one woman was drunk and she was buying drinks for all the guys that were sitting at the bar, and I happened to be sitting there. So she's like, round of tequila on me, and then we're all like, okay. So I just took a shot of tequila, just like.
I was like, hey, if you're gonna pay for it, I mean.
But believe it or not, I've seen that before. I've seen this before when I usually go clubbing. Sometimes depends if you go to a hole-in-wall place. I've actually had guys try to bum alcohol off of me before. Like they'll say, "Can you buy me a beer?" I'm like, "Hell no, I ain't buying you a beer, motherfucker."
Oh my God! They like some places, like even strip joints.
Yeah.
They had this thing called BYOB.
Yeah, bring your own beer.
Beer, BYOB, and they go over there. And by the way, I've seen this happen too, where a group of guys will go to like a strip joint like that, and then they'll do like this whole. I remember one time I had to fill in for a strip joint once.
Okay.
As a security, as a guard there.
Okay.
And I saw a group of guys come in. The other 2 guys had money, and they were getting their lap dances and stuff like that. The other guy is like looking at his buddies, going, "Hey, can you pay for mine?" And the other guy was like, "Fuck you, no." It's like, they're basically like, look, I'm not going to pay for your shit.
You know what's embarrassing, Kev, is I actually, like, in the waitering business and stuff, and you've been a bouncer, I've actually seen broke men come up to the club or to the establishment. And it's one thing if women do, because most of the time they're saying, hey, women get in for free, and then women get free drinks off the guys. So that's how they play off the horny, desperate men that are going to pay. Now, in the restaurant business, I've seen broke men usually go up there, but the only time I've seen that is if they're in a group with other men and they're trying to be the tail end bumming, or if they're going on a date and the woman's paying for everything. I have seen that too. But one thing that just bothers me is when you're going to a club and you see broke men up there bumming. Like, I can't fucking stand it.
Or like, especially the homeless people here in Nashville, who, if they see you with a cigarette, even if you have like a cigarette lined up, hey, you got a cigarette? Like, motherfucker, I ain't paying your cigarette.
It starts off as a cigarette, but then they start asking for money right after that. That's how.
Yeah, then they start asking, like, it's cheeseburger, you want me a cheeseburger? Like, no, I'm not spending my money on a cheeseburger. If I'm going to eat a cheeseburger, it's mine.
Yeah, but they don't want the cheeseburger. They want you to say, how about I just give you the money, you go buy it yourself. That's really what it is. That's what they're trying to break the ice with you and say all these. Because I've seen the homeless people do that here too. They'll say, hey man, I need $3 for bus fare. I'm like, no, you don't. You need $3. You need $10 so that you can get high again. I'm not stupid, dude.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it is. And the fact of the matter is, too, you see those bars, and I'm sure you saw this when you were a bartender. As a bartender.
Waiter. As a waiter.
Waiter. You seen this pretty much is that they, I've seen those broke guys go to like fucking Hooters, or they go to Tilted Kilt, and they'll be like, and they'll try to find their ways to sweet talk one of those girls to give them something for free.
Every now and then I see guys like that.
Or they come up with this sad, sappy story going like, oh, well, I got here, but I got beaten up, and someone stole my wallet, and I don't have any money. And then the girls feel bad for him and buy him like a little burger or something like that. They're like, oh, it's on the house. And then you come to find out, you see him at the bar later on, they over there go, hey, drinks are all made. I'm like, oh, you had money on you the whole time.
Oh, you've seen that? You've seen that? You've seen guys do that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even as a bouncer, you see that when you were bouncing?
Oh, yeah.
I bet you're just nodding your head like, man, this motherfucker.
I saw it one time. We had this thing called the Wildcats. They were just like, almost just like that. And they, this guy comes over there and Phil's told them the story was, it was one of those times where it was free for everybody to get in.
Yeah.
So obviously he was taking advantage of it. He was like, look, it's free. I'm going to let them get in. So he comes over there to one of the girls because he knew that girl had a heart. And she was like, yeah, well, I would pay for the beer, but, my wallet got stolen and my car got broken into. And she ended up paying for it. And she's like, oh, it's on the house. And then later on, I see him up there paying drinks for him.
I can't believe that guys will actually go up there and do that. And like I said, I've never been a guy to pay for. I mean, a guy to have a woman pay for me. Like, I have too much pride and ego for that. Do you ever miss the bouncer life?
I do. I still have my license, which is, it's still in effect until 2021. But you have to renew it every 3 years, every 4 or 3 years. So you have to always renew it.
You ever see yourself going back?
Yeah, I thought about it. I mean, there's some times where I thought about it, but only like the bars, like, I only thought about maybe doing it like maybe 2 or 3 nights a week, not doing it every fucking day, because, I mean, I remember nightclubs back then, they used to be open like every single day.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You're like, I can't now.
So 2-3 days a week you can do that, but you can't see yourself doing it full time.
No, because, I mean, the way the people are this day and age,